John Fetterman and the Fetterman campaign can't take no for an answer. And so now they are suing to allow undated or misdated mail-in ballots to be counted, even though it goes against Pennsylvania election laws. This is a man who is asking Pennsylvania voters to send him to the U.S. Senate, where they create laws, and yet he wants to break the law in Pennsylvania to get elected. So I want to talk about a great misjustice that may be carried out today in Pennsylvania. Join me. Okay, so here's the short version of what's been going on in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania state law says that absentee ballots, or mail-in ballots, if you will, that they have to have a signature of a verified voter, that's important, and a date, okay? If they do not have either or both, they can't be counted. Now, that's not me saying it. That's not Donald Trump saying it. That is the Pennsylvania state legislature who wrote Act 77, which is the mail-in ballot law. But the Democrats are in serious trouble in this election, all because of how they treated the American people for the last 2 years. And that chicken is coming home to roost. Okay, so right now they want to get as many votes as they can, legally or not. The problem is not that there are thousands upon thousands of Pennsylvanians who forgot to put a date on the ballot envelope, or forgot to sign it for that matter. The problem is that there are thousands and thousands of ballots that we have no idea who these people are. What if thousands of those ballots without dates or signatures are fraudulent votes? How do we know? Our criminal Secretary of State put out 244,000 ballots to supposed new voters that were completely unverified. They were unverified. That goes against the law. So that's the executive branch breaking the law. Right there. Okay? So the point is, we shouldn't even be having this discussion. These ballots are in violation of the law and therefore should be tossed aside. They should not be counted. That's the law. Why is it that Democrats constantly try to get the rules changed in their favor after the game has already started? This is what they always do. This would be like a basketball game. And before the game begins, the players on both teams, they know how to play the game, but they also know the rules of basketball. Okay, they know what the rules are. All right, they know what they can and can't do. They know what the penalties are. But one of the teams, after the game starts, argues that certain rules in the game should not be rules anymore. What? Or that they should be able to do something that one of the rules says they can't do. But they don't make these arguments before the game begins. Yeah, they waited until after the game already started, and there's points up on the board already, and they're losing. That's exactly what Democrats do in every single election. In 2020, I think there were about 130, I could be wrong, write it down in the comments if I am. I think there were 130 lawsuits by Democrats trying to make changes to the Pennsylvania election laws. Well, Article 1, Section 4 of the U.S. Constitution says that state legislatures have the power of election laws. That means that the executive branch has no authority to change or create election laws. It also means that the judiciary, or the judges, they don't have authority to change election law either, or create election laws. And yet that's exactly what they did. Okay? I know we're not supposed to talk about it, but these things are literal cases that are on the dockets in 2020. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court, which is controlled by Democrats, they changed election law by extending the deadline when mail-in ballots could be received. Pennsylvania Election Law Act 77 gave a date and time for accepting the ballots as 8 p.m. Election Day night. That means anything that came in after 8 p.m., doesn't matter if they made it there, they're not to be counted. That's the law. Oh, come on. No, it's the law. That means that enough Pennsylvanians voted for their legislators to be seated in the legislature in Harrisburg to create laws that they wanted them to create. So they created the laws, and now the Democrats want to say, screw that process. We want favorable treatment. That's what's going on here in the Fetterman lawsuit. The laws in Act 77 do not favor one party over the other, but the Democrats are asking for special treatment. So the Democrats in Pennsylvania, they are fighting to count every ballot, whether it's real or not, whether it's legal or not. And don't tell me that that's misinformation, because the story is out there. It's all over the news that John Fetterman's campaign is suing to allow election laws to be broken. There's no other way to describe this. So this weekend, the Democrats and John Fetterman's campaign filed lawsuits to allow the ballots that are undated or misdated to be counted. One question that nobody seems to want to ask is, how did the Democrats know who voted in those envelopes that don't have a date or they're misdated? They could all be Republicans, right? Wrong. I think they know what's in those ballots. And I think that's why they want them. A Democrat would sell his mother to a goat herder if the guy promised to vote for him. There is no way these desperate Democrats today are fighting for democracy or for the idea that people who forgot to put a date on the ballot, that they should have their vote thrown away. That's the law. Yes, voting is a right, but all rights have responsibilities that come along with them. If you didn't put a date on the envelope, when it says in big bold print that you must put a date on the envelope, then you lose. That is the law. That's not Republicans saying it. It's not the legislature saying it. Well, actually, it is the legislature saying it. But it's not right wing. The legislature's Republican, but it's not Republicans in the legislature saying, yeah, all because you're a Dem. No, they're saying that this is the law and you're violating the law. So what is unconscionable is that the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, the same court controlled by Democrats, ironically, they just recently handed down a ruling that the Democrats cannot use undated or misdated ballots. So now the Democrats and Fetterman are going to level up one and go to a federal judge who will be judge shopped for sure as a Democratic sympathetic judge to their cause. But he shouldn't be allowed to do this. He's going to rule in their favor. Yeah, sure, you can break the law. So Pennsylvania state law requires that voters handwrite a date on the outer security envelope when returning their mail-in ballots. And the Pennsylvania Supreme Court ruled last week that undated or wrongly dated mail ballots must be set aside and not counted. The court issued a follow-up order on Saturday, setting specific date ranges that the handwritten dates must fall within. They're serious. This time they're saying, look, this is the law. We take the law seriously here. Folks, this is not something nefarious going on. It's the law in Pennsylvania. Now, the misinformation fake news meter, they're not going to tell you that. They're going to say, oh, these Republicans, Dr. Oz and all of them, they're trying. No, it's the law. There will likely be tens of thousands of undated or wrongly dated ballots rejected statewide under that ruling. And because mail-in ballots are so disproportionately used by Democrats, it will likely mean that those thousands, if not tens of thousands of votes for Fetterman will be rejected. What I'm worried about is the 244,000 ballots that our criminal Secretary of State sent out to those new voters who are yet to be verified. Okay, so that's it. Thanks a lot. Get out and vote today. Vote Republican straight down the ticket. It means you never have to say you're sorry. Throw the other bums out. We will see you in the next one.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?